Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is CJ. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're back at it with more NBA player props for you over on PrizePicks. We'll be talking some points, got some rebounds, and a three-point prop that I'm really liking. Yesterday's video did pretty well. We went 3 out of 5. That's good for 60%. 60% over the course of the full NBA season. We would definitely be profitable. So let's see if we can repeat yesterday's performance after a dreadful 1 for 5, 2 videos back. We're not trying to do any more of those. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, now's your time. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so that you can be notified of any new content that I drop. I typically drop videos daily, talking all things player props. Right now our focus is NBA. Soon it'll turn into MLB, and eventually we'll get to America's game. The NFL will be back. So excited for that. So here's a good time for you to make sure you're subscribed and notifications turn on. Also, thank you to everybody who liked yesterday's video. We hit 40 likes once again. Let's see if we can do it again. Goal on today's video, we'll make it 41.5. That's the line. I'm going to take the over, thinking we could go for 42 or more likes on that video. So without further ado, if you do not play on PrizePicks, well, that's okay, but I wish you would. And if you want to try it out, there's a banner down at the bottom of the video. There's also a link down in the description of the video for you to sign up for PrizePicks. They're running a fantastic promo right now. 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit of $20 or more, up to $100 in fact. So if you put in $100, they're going to match it, doubling your money, giving you $100 more instantly. You'll have $200 to start out with on PrizePicks. Plenty of money to get you through the rest of the NBA playoffs. Use promo code Curry if you decide to do that, or just use the link down in the description of the video. There's also a link for you to join our Discord community. We've got free channels in there. We've also got premium private channels. Those are available for anybody who wants to sign up and join the Patreon group. Patreon group has been on fire lately, especially with MLB and NBA. So it's a great time for you to join. If you don't want to join yet, wait till the first of the month so you can get the best bang for your buck. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's start getting into it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is take a look at this game total, the spread, and all that good stuff. So we got 221.5 implied points here between these two teams. Phoenix at LA tonight. Game 3. Phoenix is up 2-0. LA has to basically win tonight. To have any kind of chance, they have to win. And a couple of the props that I'm going to be talking about coming up here, you're going to see why I'm going with that, because they're going to have to shoot. The guys that are shooters are going to have to shoot. The guys that are scorers are going to have to score. And yeah, so you'll see. But anyway, 221.5 implied points here with a 1.5 point spread. Actually, the Clippers are 1.5 point underdogs at home. Big news out of this one, Chris Paul is back for the Phoenix Suns. Kawhi Leonard still ruled out. I don't expect him to return, guys. I don't know the severity of his ACL injury. I mean, I would be very, very surprised if somehow Kawhi Leonard makes a return in this year's playoffs. I just don't see it happening. But anyway, this game doesn't look like it's going to be a blowout. It's projected to be a fairly close and competitive game. Let's get into these prop picks, shall we? The first one I want to talk about is Paul George. That's right, I'm going back to Paul George. He let us down in the last game. We ended up taking his points over, and for whatever reason, he did not hit it. He didn't just shoot the ball very well in that game. And, he usually doesn't have back-to-back games, at least here recently throughout the playoffs, where he struggles. So I'm going back to playoff P here. He's at 30.5. You could see that over on Number Fire. They got him at 30.4. So tomato, 0.1 point difference. So not a real big difference there. Nothing to make me feel any kind of way about taking the over on Paul George tonight. In fact, that's the best time for me to take overs. When a guy like Paul George has a little bit of a down scoring game in the previous game, I like to go right back to it. I like to target it again. And, Paul George has been getting it done throughout the course of the playoffs, especially since Kawhi Leonard went down. All right, so you can see that for the season, he's averaged 23.3 points per game. Most of those games were with Kawhi Leonard. So, take that sample size for what you will. It's a little skewed. We'll go down to his last 5 games. You can get an idea how well he's been scoring in his last 5 appearances. So he's got 31 points back here on June 14th against the Utah Jazz, 37 points, 28 points, 34 points, and 26 points. So at 30.5 points, he is covered in 1, 2, 3 out of his last 5. You can also notice here, that game where he had 28 points, he ended up bouncing back for 34. I'm looking for another similar scenario, another situation here where he bounces back from this 26 point performance. He did not shoot very well, 10 for 23, 43%, 1 for 8 from beyond the arc, a paltry 12.5% for Paul George. Very out of character. You can see how well he shot from beyond the arc in previous games, 46%, 40%, 33%, and 40%. So terrible night for him, 5 for 10 from the free throw line. This is definitely a situation I'm looking to target a bounce back here for Paul George. So with that in mind, let's move over to his playoff averages so far this season. He's appeared in 15 playoff games, playing over 40 minutes per game, 26.6 points per game. Again, some of these samples are from when Kawhi Leonard was still healthy and still in the lineup, but this scoring average, 26.6 points, it is more than where he scored throughout the regular season, and even more now that Kawhi Leonard is out of the lineup. So we're going to change this from traditional. We're going to look at the traditional splits. We're going to change the season type from playoffs to regular season. Click advanced filters. Change his opponent to the Phoenix Suns. Get it together here, boy. We're going to go to the Phoenix Suns and run that little report. We do this all in one take, by the way. I'm not editing this crap out. 3 games against the Suns this is a regular season here. 36.1 minutes played per game, and he averaged 32.3 points per game. So that was 3 previous regular season matchups, averaged over 32 points per game. I'm, again, really liking the over here on Paul George if you haven't noticed yet. And then finally, we'll go over to Rotowire. We'll take a look at the various sports betting sites, and we'll take a look and see how they're lining up here, how they're stacking up on this 30.5 point prop. Well, we got 2 different books and actually 2 different lines for Paul George. We got him at 30.5 here, a -120 to go over. And at 31.5, he is a -128 to go under. So between 30.5 and 31.5, you've got 31 points, which would be fantastic if he landed on 31. That would definitely put him as an overplay at 30.5 on PrizePicks. So I'm going to stick with it, going back to Paul George, hoping he hits that over tonight. Another guy that had a bit of a down scoring game that I'm looking to target in a bounce back spot is Mr. Jay Crowder of the Phoenix Suns. Now, he played terribly. I don't know if it was Chris Paul being out. I don't know if he just had a bad shooting night, but I think he put up like 2 points in his last game, which is very unlike him. He's been scoring pretty well throughout the playoffs, throughout his previous matchups against the Clippers. So kind of weird that he only had 2 points. But this is a guy, again, who gets a fair amount of 3-point volume. He makes a couple of 3-pointers, grabs a layup or 2. He's over this 9.5 point prop. He's at 9.7 over on Number Fire, putting him as a slight favorite to go over 9.5, putting him closer and closer, inching his way to that 10-point marker. That's where we need him to be. 10 points or more tonight gets the job done if we look to take the over here. So during the regular season, he did drop in 10.1 points per game. So that is a indicator that, 10 or more points is definitely within the realm of possibilities. Let's scroll down here, look at his last 5 playoff games. You can see in the points category, he covers in 1, 2, 3 out of the last 5 games. And the one that he missed here back against Denver, the closeout game against Denver, he put up 9 points in that one. So still very, very close to 9.5, 10 points in that range. His last game, though, he scored 2 points. And that was with 32 minutes played. He only attempted 3 field goal attempts, so that's a little bit concerning. Looks like all 3 of those field goal attempts were 3-point field goals, and he missed all 3 of them. So he's definitely somebody who's going to have to knock down a couple of threes in order to hit this prop, and I do expect him to bounce back. You can see in his previous games here, he made 3 3-pointers, 4, 2, 3. So, with Chris Paul returning, I hope everything kind of returns to normal here, and Jay Crowder kind of snaps back to where he's been scoring throughout the playoffs. Speaking of, let's go look at his averages in terms of scoring and points per game throughout the playoffs. He's appeared in 12 playoff games this season. He plays about 32 minutes per game for Phoenix, drops in 11 points per game. So that is a pretty good indication of things to come. Now let's go look and see how well he did against Los Angeles throughout the regular season here. See if we got a good sample size, bad sample size. We'll click advanced filters, change this from all teams to just the LA Clippers. Click run it. And you can see that he appeared in 2 games versus the Clippers in the regular season, playing about 30.2 minutes per game. Now, he averaged just 3 points per game in those 2 meetings, so I'm not sure what was going on there, but didn't attempt very many shots, was 1 for 4 on average, good for 25%, 1 for 4 beyond the arc, good for 25%. So he is definitely a high volume 3-point guy in terms of like the type of shots he takes. He's a 3-and-D type of player. He's going to take the 3 ball more often than not. Maybe he gets a layup, maybe he gets some free throws once in a while, but mostly he's living beyond the arc. So there you have it for Jay Crowder. Let's move things over to Rotowire. Will find his player prop here for 9.5 points. You got him on 2 different books here, -127 to go over 9.5 and a -122 to go over 9.5. So his scoring averages are up there around 10, 11 points for the regular season and throughout the playoffs. So that's a pretty good, differential versus today's prop of 9.5 points. I think Chris Paul will kind of get these other guys back on track. Things will hopefully return to normal, and you'll see guys like Jay Crowder, maybe a Michael Bridges, end up getting closer to where their scoring averages were for the regular season and throughout the playoffs so far. So I'm liking the over on Jay Crowder in a bounce back spot, similar to Mr. Playoff P, Paul George. With those 2 points props out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about a rebound prop that kind of caught my attention. I got 2 of them actually. The first one might be a little bit controversial, but hey, this guy's been getting it done, and we're talking Reggie Jackson at 3.5 rebounds. Now, Reggie Jackson has really just turned it on in all statistical categories throughout the playoffs, especially once Kawhi Leonard went down. I mean, his 3-point prop at 2.5 was just money night in and night out. And more recently, his scoring props, his points props have been money too. But he's also been chipping in the rebound column and in the assist column. And, from what I was seeing today, he's a favorite to go over rebounds, assists, and maybe even some of those other props I had mentioned before, points and 3-point attempts, but 3-point makes. But anyway, Reggie Jackson at 3.5 boards. Let's go take a look and see where he is projected over on Number Fire today. So they've got him projected for 4.2 rebounds, which puts him over 3.5. I went ahead and did some averaging on a few different sites, and I ended up landing on about 4.6 projected rebounds for Reggie Jackson today. That is a big differential. That's a 1.1 rebound difference versus where he is projected at 3.5 today. So hopefully these various projection sites are on the money here, and he definitely can go over. So let's go over to NBA.com. He's at 2.9 rebounds per game throughout the regular season. Again, kind of take this with a grain of salt, kind of throw this out because the dynamic is completely changed now. He's getting way more minutes. He's got a way larger role with Kawhi Leonard out, and just been a better player all around since the playoffs have started. Let's go look at his last 5 game logs, and more specifically in his rebound category. You can see going back to the 5th game in his game log, he had just 1 board against Utah, 2 boards against Utah, and 3 boards against Utah. But things have taken a turn for the better in terms of rebounds lately for Reggie Jackson. Pulls in 6 boards in the first game against Phoenix in this series and 5 rebounds in the second game, or the last game against Phoenix in this series. So all in all, man, he is averaging 5.5 rebounds per game so far, which puts him 2 whole rebounds over this 3.5 rebound prop. So he's gotten it done in his last 2, covering in both of those games. So we'll switch things over. We'll take a look at how well he's done as a cumulative or total here for rebounds, I guess you could say. 15 games played throughout the playoffs, 31.6 minutes per game. You can see he's averaging 17.3 points per game, but we're here to talk rebounds. His rebound numbers, not great at 3 rebounds, but that's pretty close. I mean, 3 versus 3.5. 1 more rebound falls his way, and we're talking about an over here. And it seems to be the trend that in his last 2 games, he's rebounding better against Phoenix, so I don't mind taking the over here on Reggie Jackson. So if we go ahead and click traditional splits, we could take a little look here at how well he did against Phoenix against Phoenix throughout the regular season. So we go in and change his opponent to Phoenix. They're down the way here. Click run it. And he faced Phoenix 3 different times, played at just 23 minutes per game. His rebounding numbers, 2.3. Of course, his minutes are going to be a lot higher tonight. He's projected for way more minutes than that. In fact, he's projected to play about 36 minutes. So 36 minutes versus a 23.3 minute per game average in those 3 regular season matchups. So just kind of wanted to show you this. Don't, buy into it. Don't read into it too much. Obviously, like I said, the dynamic has changed completely with this Los Angeles Clippers team here recently. So we'll finish things off by going over to Rotowire and looking for Reggie Jackson's rebound prop. They've got him at 3.5 across 3 different books here. The first book, he is a minus 113 to go under, minus 113 to go over. So completely even there. This next one, a slight lean toward the over, minus 112 to go over 3.5. And this is the one that really caught my eye, minus 139 to go over 3.5 rebounds. Pretty strong position being taken out by people over on BetMGM. So I think I'm going to stick with it. Not going to get too crazy, not going to overthink this too much. There's a reason why they all think that he's going to go over 3.5 rebounds. Those last 2 games, or first 2 games against the Phoenix Suns, he has been absolutely crushing the glass. Like I said, 5.5 rebounds per game in those 2. He just needs 4 to get it done tonight. So even if he has a little bit of regression from those 6 and 5 rebounds and he regresses down to 4, hey, we're getting paid, right? Especially if we take the over. So I'm going to stick with it on Reggie Jackson and the over on his rebounds. The other guy that caught my eye who has actually been rebounding pretty well here lately is Michael Bridges at 3.5 rebounds. It's another guy who across the board tonight seems to be a darling to go over in most of his statistical categories. Points, rebounds. I think I saw him as an over to go over 3 3-point makes, or 1.5 3-point makes, I should say. So yeah, looks like another situation where everyone is kind of targeting a bounce back game for Michael Bridges. Didn't play very well, much like Jay Crowder. It was really just a kind of like a Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Cameron Payne type of game last game. But like I said, with Chris Paul being inserted back into the lineup, I expect things to kind of get back to normal, we'll say. So Michael Bridges at 3.5 boards, I think I'm looking to take the over on him tonight. So we're going back over to Number Fire. Let's take a look at his projected rebounds. He's at 4.3 rebounds today. 4 or more rebounds, we're in good shape. So let's head over to NBA.com. You can see for the regular season, 4.3 rebounds per game was his rebound average. So again, definitely could pull down 4 or more boards on any given night. Let's go look at his last 5 game logs throughout the playoffs here. Couple of stinkers in here. Not gonna mince words. Not gonna lie to you. If we go back to June 9th against the Denver Nuggets, 2 boards. Then he comes back in a big way here with 6 boards. Has just 1 against the Los Angeles Clippers in Game 1, and then finally 5 rebounds in his last game. So overall, just 2 covers out of his last 5. But I think that if you look at how well he's rebounded throughout the course of the playoffs, you'll see a little bit of a different story here. So let's go and look at that. We'll scroll on down here. He's appeared in 12 different playoff games, playing over 33 minutes per game. You can see his rebounds per game, 3.8 boards, which is more than 3.5, meaning he leans closer to 4 rebounds than 3 rebounds. So that's a good sign. And if we click traditional splits, we're going to go ahead and remove the playoff filter, click advanced filters, change this to the Los Angeles Clippers, and click run it. You could see that based on this little report here, in the 3 regular season games against the Clippers, he played 37.5 minutes, averaged 13.3 points. So that's a good sign if you're looking to play Michael Bridges points tonight, taking the over, that is, on the 11.5. He also averaged 6.7 rebounds per game, which puts him well over this 3.5 rebound mark. So that's a good sign. That shows us that, hey, he's gotten it done against this Clippers team before. So far in this series, he's 1 out of 2 in covering this 3.5 rebound prop. So let's hope that he can get it done again tonight. Finishing things off here for Michael Bridges, we're heading over to Rotowire. Let's look for his 3.5 rebound prop. So we got him at 3.5 on one site, 4.5 on another, 3.5 on the final site. But at 3.5, he's a minus 134 to go over and a minus 133 to go over. That's a very good sign. And then at 4.5 rebounds, he's a big minus 144 to go under. So, between 3.5 and 4.5, that's 4 rebounds. That's exactly all we need from him tonight is 4 rebounds if you are riding with me and look to take the over on Michael Bridges. Remember, you don't have to take any of the picks I'm talking about here. Look, I talk about some of these picks. I'm not always right. You know that if this is not your first time watching these videos. Sometimes I'm really wrong. If you feel a different way about it based on everything that I've shown you, please, by all means, take the opposite. I am not a salesman. I'm just doing my best to put together the pieces of this puzzle today and try and win some money. So always keep that in mind. If you feel a different way about a pick, hey, I don't know any more than you. I go by the numbers. and I try to do my best to figure this out. So the last guy I want to talk about is Marcus Morris and his 3-point prop. Listen, I went to Marcus Morris and I took the over on his 1.5 3-point makes in the last video when I covered these two teams. He let me down. In fact, he didn't even really play down the stretch in the fourth quarter. This is probably the most controversial, probably the most volatile pick, I would say, out of all of the picks in today's video, because I don't know if this guy is 100% healthy. He might be a little nicked up. In fact, I know that he was dealing with some sort of physical ailment, some sort of injury, but they're going to need their main guys to score, and Marcus Morris is one of their major pieces here. Him, Reggie Jackson, Paul George, obviously, they're just going to have to do it. They're going to have to come out guns blazing. So I'm still hoping, praying, looking for a bounce back game for Marcus Morris. 2 3-pointers isn't asking a whole lot. So this is, again, another situation where I'm looking to target a guy who's been in a slump, who hasn't been shooting very well. And that's kind of my thought process here. So let's go into his last 5 games here and see how well he's been shooting from beyond the arc. So if we go back to his 5th game in his game log, now this is against Utah, 5 3-pointers out of 6 attempts, 3 3-pointers out of 4 attempts. Then he kind of goes cold here. In the last game against Utah, just 1 for 4. Then he's 0 for 5 in the first game against the Phoenix Suns, and then just 1 for 2, attempted only 2 3-pointers. So a little concerning that his 3-point attempts dropped off from 6, 4, 4, 5, and then all of a sudden just 2. And you can see that his minutes have been down in the last handful of games too. 29 minutes, 21 minutes, and 25 minutes. So I would like to think that Marcus Morris gets out there and bangs two 3-pointers, maybe even 3 3-pointers. He's due. It just seems like he's due. But, maybe his role has changed in this series a little bit. Maybe he's not completely healthy. So let's go look at his playoff averages now. He's appeared in 15 playoff games, averaging 31.8 minutes per game, 11.5 points in that span. And he attempted 5 3-point shots per game, making about 1.9. That's really, really close to 2. Good for a 37.3% 3-point field goal percentage. So again, he can get it done. We know he can get hot. The question is he healthy? And if he's not healthy, well then how many minutes are they going to trot him out there for? Really, really tough for us to know that. So that's why I say this pick is probably the most dangerous, probably the most volatile out of all of them. So let's go ahead and click traditional splits. Let's remove the playoff filter here. And let's go take a look at how well he did against Phoenix throughout the regular season here. So click Phoenix Suns, click run it. By the way, this is all free. You can do this on nba.com/players. That's where I'm at right now. You can see that in 2 regular season games, 31.7 minutes played per game, averaged 12 points per game. His points prop tonight, by the way, is at 11.5, so that might be a little bit of an encouraging sign. He attempted 5.5 3-point attempts in those 2 meetings against Phoenix, making 2.5 on average. Good for a 45.5% 3-point field goal percentage. So this dude can definitely get it done. There's no question about it. It's just a matter of the minutes and how healthy he is. So we'll wrap things up here by going to the 3-point category here on Rotowire. Let's look for this 3-point prop here for Marcus Morris Sr. He's at 1.5 across all 3 sites. First site's got him even Steven, -113, not really getting an edge over or under on that one. The next one's got him as a -130 to go over 1.5, pretty strong action there. And then finally a -120, again, a pretty good lean there, but must point out that some people are taking the under, a -110 to go under. So all in all, this is another one of those fingers crossed moments. If you need, a last minute pick or a play that to kind of just plug in there and roll the dice on, this is probably your roll of the dice pick out of all 5 of the picks tonight, with Marcus Morris going over 1.5 3-point props. What do you guys think though? Is he going to do it tonight? Is he going to finally bounce back, or are you not trusting Marcus Morris? Are you not trusting any of the picks in the video? Let me know why. Maybe there's ones that I talked about that you love. Maybe there's ones that you just don't love so much. Or maybe, just maybe, there's a pick that I didn't talk about that is looking really juicy to you. Leave it down in the comments section below. I love reading all of your favorite picks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, make sure you're subscribed, notifications turned on. Give this a thumbs up if it brought you any value. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This is CJ. We'll catch you in the next one, guys. Peace out.